Wow, I like that. Matter is spirit slowed down. Spirit is matter speeded up. All is one. We've got to get our atoms moving faster if we ever want to get out of here. Okay, on with the reading. The anchoring of truth, or the lowering of vibrations, has never been a secret process. It has always been part of the teaching of the ageless wisdom. But it is a well-known fact that you can't get truth out of a man if he has no available truth in him. Truth is light. Light which is imprisoned or obscured cannot illumine a person. Only the individual with a clean atomic structure, or one who understands and practices transmutation, can hope to anchor truth in physical matter. The average scientist, especially those contaminated by working with military weapons, are in no position to embark on a search for truth. It will not be found in an H-bomb. When Tesla agreed to undertake the task of bringing light to the earth, he envisioned this globe as one vast terrestrial lamp spiraling through the skies toward its God-ordained destiny of perfected evolution, bearing upon its lighted body a race of illumined initiates, free from the cycle of rebirth, journeying back to their source, to their appointed mansion in the Father's house. This was Tesla's great secret, if secret he had. Let those who feel overjoyed because they were not called upon to share it ask themselves at this point if they are sure they are quite ready even now to share it. Or are they like those disciples of Jesus who had to listen to the Master tell them that they were not ready to share the knowledge of certain things, that to speak of such truths would place upon them a greater burden of light than they could bear? Tesla's life in Paris went on smoothly. He enjoyed robust health, but he was employed by the Continental Edison Company, working all day on direct current machines, and this proved to be an irksome point. His superior alternating current inventions, although still in the fourth ether, were totteringly close at hand. Finally, the situation was changed abruptly by an accident in the railway station at Strasbourg in Alsace, where an Edison powerhouse and electric lights had been installed. Alsace then belonged to Germany, and the electrical installation was formally opened with Imperial William I present. Unfortunately, when the lights were turned on, the glory was indeed brief, for a short circuit caused an entire wall of the railway station to be blown to bits. Tesla was sent from Paris to Strasbourg to survey the damage and proceed with repairs. Once the work got underway and he could serve in a supervisory capacity, he arranged for space and tools in a nearby machine shop, and there he proceeded to transfer his dream of alternating current from the fourth ether to the physical plane. He was an amateur machinist, but a meticulous worker, and gradually a large collection of miscellaneous parts of a two-phase alternating current motor took shape in the machine shop. Tesla not only made each part exact to 1,000th of an inch, but he carefully polished it to make it more exact. He had no working drawings or blueprints. He formed each part from metal to exactly match the etheric part which he saw before him. He did not have to test the parts because he knew they would fit. When he had finished the entire collection, he quickly assembled the machine and started up his power generator. The cosmic moment had struck. He closed the switch. The armature of his motor turned, built up speed. He closed the reversing switch. The armature stood still, then instantly started turning in the opposite direction. Alternating current had been transferred from the invisible to the visible, from the fourth ether to the dense physical plane, from a substance lighter than gas to metal. So there in the noisy machine shop in Strasbourg stood the very motor which Tesla had first discovered in the sunset glow in the park of Budapest, walking with his friend Szigeti. Even the beautiful lines from Goethe's Faust, which he had been proclaiming aloud as he walked, were still appropriate. The glow retreats, done is the day of toil. In yonder haste, new fields of life exploring, ah, that no wing can lift me from the soil, upon its tracks to follow, soaring. That was from the book. Tesla's unique method of constructing his first motor gives an excellent clue to the manner in which all initiates consciously work, although they usually precipitate the etheric form instantly into physical matter without intermediary construction work. They can externalize whatever they need by first visualizing it in the ethers, then calling it forth into physical density. That is why spaceships are described as being constructed without rivets, welding, seams, or cracks around doors. They are not constructed, but precipitated direct from the ether. Since the laggards came and human beings forgot how to precipitate what they need, all man-made forms are first created in mental matter by a designer thinking through his problem and creating a thought form. Mental matter is on the same plane as gas and is therefore one density lower than the fourth ether. But mental matter is all that the average person can manipulate, and it's not by any means pure, but is heavily weighted with astral accumulations. It is virtually impossible for the average person to create a clear, precise thought form, free from personal emotional distortions. Since he cannot control his mental constructs with any degree of success, his matrix or thought form is often composed more of fantasy than of fact. When it is lowered into form, the physical plane result is often useless, ugly, and a spiritual monstrosity. In the summer of 1884, shortly after Tesla returned from Strasbourg to Paris, he arrived in New York City with exactly 4 cents in his pocket and a book of poems. In addition, he had a letter of introduction to Thomas A. Edison. In a few brief weeks in Europe, many things had happened to force this hurried and unplanned voyage to America. While Tesla was still in Strasbourg, he tried to interest businessmen there in his new alternating current motor, which he had built from the parts he had made by hand. He could not stir up a spark of enthusiasm for the machine which was later to revolutionize the electrical industry of the world. Then, when he returned to Paris to collect the substantial fee which he had been promised for getting the Strasbourg installation in operation, the company conveniently failed to remember anything about the arrangement. One official, however, did suggest to Tesla that he go direct to Mr. Edison in America. Within a few days, Tesla sold his personal belongings, packed his bags, and brought his railroad and steamship tickets. However, just as he was about to board the train to take him from Paris to the ship, he discovered he had been robbed. He ran along the moving train and boarded it, paying his fare with loose change and notes he had in his pockets after his wallet was stolen. He also boarded the ship, explaining that his ticket had been stolen. Fortunately, no one showed up to claim his reservation, so he was allowed to continue on his way to the United States. Without luggage and with only a few cents in change, he finally landed in New York. He lacked fare for either cab or trolley, so he set out to walk from the pier to the home of a friend, for he had fortunately retained his address book. He walked past an electrical repair shop, and inside he saw a weary and obviously harassed workman struggling to repair a machine. He entered the shop. "Let me repair it," he said to the mechanic. The workman, without further inquiry, permitted Tesla to set to work. Although the task was difficult, Tesla finally had the machine operating. The grateful mechanic handed him $20 and offered him a steady job. But Tesla thanked him, explaining that he was on his way to another job and he could not accept his offer. He continued on his way, found his friend, and remained at his home overnight. The next morning he set out to call on Mr. Edison, who then had headquarters in New York on South Fifth Avenue, a street which later became known as West Broadway. The meeting between the two men was not auspicious. Edison belonged to the direct current school of thought, and Tesla was not only in opposition to direct current, but was actually the inventor of alternating current.